Funniest thing, anybody, male or woman, that joined my lab within a couple of years, even if they swear they will never have kids, they end up having kids, no mistake. I had a summer student that came and they wanted a project, so I was so busy writing grants and I said, okay, why don't you add this and that and see what happens? And when I went home, I said, gosh, it's like adding eggs to pineapples, and it doesn't make sense at all. But what finally happened is that this guy that night, he was so at it. I mean, he wanted to show off that, he's good and stuff. So he started working on the experiment right that afternoon, and when I came in the lab, I don't know why I came 2 days later, because I had something somewhere else. Maybe I came in the lab 2 days later, and he pulled out, I looked at the raw data he presented to me, and I looked at, either he's faking the raw data somewhere down the line, or this is incredible. And finally we had published quickly the data, because it turned out to be something very, very interesting about the interaction between two separately unrelated peptides on cardiac hypertrophy function. Yeah, I mean, it's not that funny, but it's surprising.
Do you believe in ghosts? I think that's part of the science, maybe. Because I remember the first day when I did the animals, before I never touched animals, right? When I first did the animals, I killed the rats. I feel so sorry, I feel so guilty, I cried. But right when I went to the garage, I saw a rat moving. But that had I said, no, it's not right. I said, I saw it moving. It's like maybe a piece of white paper, it's like blowing away, but I saw it's a rat. And also the funny thing, I sent the dead rat upstairs to the animal room, and the elevator stopped. And the fifth floor for the animal room, they are all blue, like this color. And it's at night, it's very dark. I was so scared. And I opened the elevator door, it's still fifth floor. I close it, I want to go to the fourth floor, our lab is. I open still fifth floor. I open still fifth floor. I was so scared, and finally I got to the fourth floor, and Dr. was waiting for me. And when I ran to the lab, my face is like a pale, and he asked me, "ASHG, what happened?" I said, "No, I think they have the rats want to keep me there because I killed them." Can you be? I think that's a part of the science. It's like superstitious. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, so scared.
No, I wouldn't call him funny. I would call him lucky breaks. When you're after something for 2 years, and you're going to say this particular meeting which happened, and you need to get this poster together, and you've been doing this hard, and it's not working, and it's Thursday, you've got to print it on Monday, and it's after midnight, and it comes out, and you start dancing around your lab, because it did work after 2 years, and you might graduate at some point. That's lucky. It's not funny, but it's cool.
There's a lot of stories that happen in the lab. When you do genetic screening, sometimes people make very funny interpretation of the data. For instance, you know that there is a genetic marker for alopecia, okay? So, and it's in the androgen receptor, okay? And there's a SNP that you can screen. Okay, so I gave to one of my female students to try to find this SNP, and I gave her my DNA as control, and she put her DNA as well. And she came back to me, and the gene is on chromosome X, okay? So she came back to me and showed me 2 sequencing. One of them was heterozygote, and she said, this is your DNA, you have the mutation for the alopecia, because and the other DNA didn't have, and it was wild type. And I told her, no, you confuse the DNAs. It can't be. And she argued with me, and I told her, when a male have 1 chromosome of X, you can have only 1 allele, not 2 alleles. And if you show me a sequence where it's heterozygote, it means there are 2 alleles, it has to be a female, and it's yours, so you are the carrier of the mutation for alopecia, and not me. So she was disappointed.
We were practicing molecular biology in the end of the 80s. It was relatively new. There were no kits, and you did most of the procedure were to develop, or they were manual. And then we're doing fingerprinting of many kinds of species. And we also try to do DNA fingerprinting for fish. And extracting DNA, it was then different for each species. And with fish, it was very difficult. They have a very small quantity of DNA in the blood. So we had to get a lot of blood. So one of the guys that has a special project with the fish, he bought from the market a big carp, and he was trying to get out of it as much blood as he could. So we cut him and started squeezing him, and it was very sleepy, so the carp goes up and got stuck to the ceiling, and he wasn't completely dead, so he was shaking all the way, and all the lab was full of fish stuff, and it was a big sign on the ceiling that stayed for months and months and months and months. So that, so always we're reminding the guy called Ilan, and always we were talking about DNA extraction. It was the story of Ilan and the fish.
Oh man, that's every day it's happening, so I don't know what to. We had a new fellows, like, you know, MDs, they come in the lab for, like, they are from medical field and they come in the lab for first time after so many years of high school, like, you know, training in the lab. So one day one fellow came and she asked me, where is a 65-degree water bath? So she was like, you know, very bubbly and something. So I just told her, it's in the cold room. Can you go in? It's in the cold room. So go there. And she literally went in the cold room to look for the 65-degree water bath.
So this is a sort of classic lab story. One of our graduate students, we don't run a lot of gels. We do mostly large-scale, high-throughput genotyping. So he needed to run an agarose gel, which in most labs is a fairly standard procedure. He froze his gel, and it was not recoverable, and everyone in the lab constantly tells the story about why we're not letting him back near the bench anymore and keeping him behind the computer.
Probably when my professor came in wearing sandals and realized as he stepped into the research field area, and immediately was like, and walked back out.